Good afternoon, and welcome to today's virtual product review. My name is Lee McGuire, and I am the Director of Marketing and Communications at the Monitoring Association. Thank you for joining us today. Before we begin, I'd like to confirm our audio and introduce you to some of the attendee features of our webinar. May I ask someone to confirm that he or she can hear me by clicking the raised hand icon on your control panel? Perfect. Thank you, Jamie. As you'll see, located on the right-hand side of your screen, you'll find some of the features in your attendee control panel. You will be able to type questions anytime during the presentation by clicking on the questions. However, to keep things moving, we will raise the questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this presentation, and you will receive a link to the recorded version in a few days. And now, we're pleased and excited to introduce you to one of our newest TMA members, Davantis Technologies, who will present you with the details on their innovative video analytics solutions. From Davantis today, we have Charles Volchek, who is the Country Manager for Davantis USA. He has almost 20 years of electronic security experience, having served as a security integrator and as a VP and director within global security manufacturing and software companies. He holds a bachelor's degree in business management and an MBA. He has worked on several continents, but has been living and working in the U.S. for the last 5 years. Charles is tasked with establishing and growing the Davantis business in the U.S. Now, let us begin. Charles, I will give you the controls.
Okay, one moment. Is my screen visible to you, Lee?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining our webinar, and thanks for that nice introduction. My job today is to tell you a bit more about Davantis and specifically about what we do, and I don't want to spend too much time boring you about who we are. I'd much rather tell you what we can do for you. Safe to say that we've been in business for about 15 years, doing only video detection analytics worldwide for monitoring companies and integrators like yourselves. And so we've built up a lot of experience in this, and I'm hoping that our presentation today will at least be informative. I want to cover two trends just real quick. The first one is video. This slide says that video is the future. And I can tell you, as you are already aware, people are used to consuming video. It's the medium of choice. We have more and more people using DIY video devices at their homes, and video cameras are everywhere. So video monitoring is here to stay. If you're not already in the space, then you can bet that someone else is taking business from you. So that's one point that is important. I assume that everyone on the call is already doing video monitoring of some kind. The second trend is AI, and that drives smarter video monitoring. Now, not all video monitoring is not equal. I'll cover 4 options that I've seen with a lot of central stations worldwide, and just give you a quick view on the applicability of each. The first one is live video monitoring, where an operator sits in front of many monitors looking at video and having to detect when an intruder passes through one of them. This is the most outdated way of doing video monitoring. I would think that none of you still do it this way, although I am still surprised every now and again. And very, very ineffective. The second one is video verification. I find this a lot more, where people use one device to raise a detection alert or an alarm, and then they link to a video system that gives them eyes on the site. I think it's cumbersome, in my opinion. Oftentimes it's not synchronized, and if you wanted to speak back to the site or look at the person moving from camera to camera. It's just very cumbersome. Third option is video detection. This is where you're using the camera to actually detect intrusions. This is a lot better, but it can be challenging, especially when you are using camera analytics. We call that edge analytics. Those are challenging under outdoor circumstances. They do miss some intrusions under certain conditions. You don't have to believe me, just look at third-party reviews on those products. So missing a detection happens sometimes. Secondly, more importantly, is they generate a lot of false alarms, which ultimately will be a big problem for you in a central monitoring environment. The last option is integrating camera detection or integrating smart detection using AI. We think that's the smart way, and in the world of Davantis, we have an appliance, analytics appliance that you install on site. It links to all cameras and all other security systems, and then does the video detection for you. We think that's the ideal way. Now, our mission is to develop the ideal or the perfect solution for central stations. And in our opinion, any solution should have at least the following 8 things in order to be considered ideal or perfect. First one is it must allow you as a monitoring station a smooth transition into video. Secondly, it must be compatible with as many things as possible. Thirdly, and I think most of you would probably say most importantly, it has to be very accurate in its detection of intrusions and have no or very low false alarms. Fourthly, in our opinion, it must be really easy, really simple for the operator to verify any intrusion and allow them to make a quick decision as to what action to take. Also, in the ideal environment, your operator should be able to activate deterrent devices directly as they see an intrusion happen. Then the last 2 points speak more about business value. We think whatever you roll out as a video solution should be standardized. It should be the same box, the same setup over and over, one site to the next, making it extremely easy for your technical guys. It must be scalable so that you can bring in as many sites as you want to without increasing necessarily your operating staff. And it must allow you to be different from your competitors, because we're all in a competitive environment, and obviously every day we face pricing and other pressures. So you're looking for a product that can make you stand out, make you be different. I'm going to cover each of those 8 items slide by slide. Firstly, just to tell you about the products. It is a security appliance. We have a small 4-channel appliance called a Mini. And this is for detection with regular day-night camera up to a distance of about 73, 75 yards. I have to say we're pretty conservative as a company with regards to our claims. So we might be able to do more than that, but this is what we feel comfortable with. So first one is a small 4-channel unit. Then you have the S for standard and the LR for long range. And those are different licenses in a bigger rack-mounted server. And they can go have detections accurately up to about 130 yards or so with regular camera and up to about 550 with thermal camera. So that's the product. I've put this slide up just so that you can see some of the features that we have in the S and the LR. We detect people, vehicles, entry, exits, tampering with your camera, people loitering, people appearing or disappearing in specific portions of the view. And then towards the bottom on the LR product, just 3 that I want to highlight for you. Smart PTZ. We have the ability to detect with one camera and then swing a PTZ to that area for better identification. And our software can then track an individual as he moves throughout the premises as long as he's visible to the PTZ. And you don't need a smart PTZ. That is all done by our software. The next one is we have a product or a feature called Virtual IR. We can increase the contrast on thermal cameras so that we can improved detection accuracy. As far as I'm aware, we're the only company that has that, and it makes our thermal detection exceptionally accurate. And then the one just below it, we can also stabilize cameras that are shaking in the wind in our software. So those three come with our long-range products. The next point that we think is important for video monitoring is to have a product that allows you smooth transitioning. Now, on the left, you'll see an example of a Davantis appliance, and these are the things that can connect to it. We can connect still analog cameras, and I'm amazed at how many clients still have analog cameras today. We can still accept those and do analytics on it. We can accept all brands of IP cameras, any thermal cameras, PTZ I've mentioned. We can link directly with an alarm panel. And the nice thing is we can use that to activate and to deactivate our analytics. So a lot of the alarms that central stations typically get are caused just by operator mistake. People not activating or deactivating or arriving on site outside of the schedule. Now, our units are able to be scheduled, but we find it even better when you can just activate and deactivate with something like the alarm panel. We connect to most brands of NVRs and VMSs, PSIM units. We can also connect to loudspeakers on site and other deterrent devices, lights, sprinklers, and the like. So using one of our boxes actually is a good hub to bring together all these security systems into an easily manageable product for an operator. I've mentioned another one of the characteristics is maximum compatibility. We can accept inputs from any camera brand, analog, IP, and thermal. And I think that is a big benefit. Many systems are limited to certain brands. With us, it does not matter. The appliance will work with all of them. We are also integrated with most of your automation software platforms. We've put a list down at the bottom right, and the ones here in the US that are often, that I find often are Bold, Mastermind, SureView for certain, MicroKey, and others. And if we don't have it, if you might be using automation software that is unique to you, we are happy to do that integration. No problem. I've mentioned that we connect to alarm panels for arming and disarming, and through our I/O modules, we can actually switch on and switch off most deterrent devices. The next point, and I think the point that probably is most important for all of you, is the detection accuracy and having low false alarms. I would have loved to claim that we have no false alarms, but that's not true. I've heard it said that the only way to not have any false alarms is to also not have any detection. If you switch everything off, then you won't have either. And I say that in jest. With us, it's critical for us never to miss a intrusion. We never want to miss it. We want to have 100% detection of intrusions. But we do recognize that it's important to cut false alarms, and we also do a splendid job of filtering for all those false alarms. And the way we do it is through a combination of AI. We don't use any one on its own. We actually use it as a combination. And maybe it's a good point just to give you a few pointers on the available AI methods. A lot of cameras still do something as basic as motion detection. That's the least accurate and causes the most false alarms. Some of them will have a machine learning algorithm, very basic, because they don't have the processing power that we have in an appliance. Some providers will use deep learning for filtering, and while that is good for filtering false alarms, it brings with it its own pros and cons. For example, deep learning typically needs to see about 70% of an object. It needs to recognize about 70% or so of an object. If it doesn't, it could easily discard that alarm as a false alarm. So with Davantis, we use these things all in a combination. And that gives us a much higher accuracy rate and a very low false alarm rate, all at the source. You don't need to send anything, apologies, you don't have to send anything up in the cloud to be filtered. We do that all. I thought it would be good to give you just 2 examples of detections with Davantis. The first one is a thermal camera at a solar site. It's a real life detection. This guy was crawling to avoid the intrusion beams. And so with video, we could catch him. You can already see this is at quite some distance. And obviously using our virtual IR feature, we can increase that contrast for a very accurate detection. Second one is a day-night camera. Here we have someone, dark of night, just a poor IR from the camera. We have vehicles at the back with headlights shining towards the camera. We have rain. We have spider webs at the top. I'll just play that again so that you can see we detect very accurately and don't false alarm on any of these other things. In fact, it's even difficult for the eye to have seen that person by the time our analytic already detected it. So those are just 2 examples. I have many more for those who are interested to see more of them. So for us, 100% detection with minimal false alarms is critical. And just on, I've heard it said once before that you wouldn't expect normally an intruder to crawl through a site when he's breaking in. In our opinion, we can't be a 99% accurate detector. We have to look at all possibilities. We have to look at the possibility of someone crawling to avoid detection. On the deep learning side, we have to look at the possibility of someone carrying a large box, for example, or a large screen TV, which makes them no longer look like a typical human. And we still have to detect accurately in all those examples. So those are important to us. In terms of the operator verification, we think a good solution must be really easy and simple for your operator to use. And as you can see on the slide, the best interface is actually the one you're currently using. It's ideal when your operator can handle video alarms just exactly the same way as they're handling every other intrusion alarm. And with us, we make that possible because we're integrated with all your automation software. Now, the Davantis video alarm will come into the system like any other. One click will show you, apologies, one click will show you what triggered the alarm. Second click will play a 10-second video clip. Third click could take you to that camera or all cameras on site live without needing to go to the VMS system. You can do that directly in Davantis. I've put together a quick video clip just as an example. So here we have a freeze-frame image showing you the detection. The second click will play a 10-second video clip so that your operator can make a determination whether that is a human. If they are still unsure, a third click can take them to that camera live. And if they really want to see all other cameras, because at sometimes the intruder might have already passed the view of this one camera, one more click will show you all cameras on site live. That is how easy it is in your interface using Davantis. The next point I want to cover is quick decision-making and proactive deterrent options. So with Davantis, we do the detection using AI. We raise an alarm in your automation software. Your operator can very quickly verify the intruder using the click-through technology. And they can determine whether this is a false alarm or an intruder. And from there, in our opinion, the perfect solution should allow them to take some deterrent measures, because it doesn't help that you have good video of someone breaking into your customer's premises and stealing some of their equipment. So you can trigger loudspeakers, lights, alarms, sirens, sprinkler systems, all those things directly using our pop-up video interface, which is done in your software. Final 2 points. We think that it's incredibly important to have a standardized solution that is scalable. With Davantis, there is no need to change any of the on-site equipment. If your customer has old analog or the latest IP, thermal, it doesn't matter. We work with all of that. Our units are very easy and simple to deploy. And even setting up the analytics, the system actually does that out of the box, and you can fine-tune it as you need to. From an operator point of view, no need to change the operator interface for them to learn a new interface. And so if you have the typical issues with operator turnover, you train them once on one single automation interface, and that's the same one they also use for the Davantis alarms. Video alarms are managed just like any other intrusion alarm, with the ability to activate deterrent devices, and in our opinion, standardized across all your video sites makes it really simple. We believe in the KISS principle, just keeping it real simple. Finally, our detection is accurate, definitely more accurate than edge devices. Our filtering, false alarm filtering, is better than what you would have with any camera. In fact, I think most of them don't do false alarm filtering. That's why central stations have such a big problem. It's also easier to do future upgrades in an appliance because you just push software upgrades to the appliance rather than having to do that to each individual camera. And the last 3 points are critical in my opinion. We give you the ability to offer your customers a higher value service for which you can charge more and actually profit more. We have no recurring fees. So once your customer has paid for the unit, or if you want to do that, charge them on a monthly basis, there comes a point when it's pure profit for you. And I think with the solution, with the fact that it is integrated into all the other security systems, you have an opportunity to be very different than your competitors who are typically using edge detection or camera analytics. Final point is an offer that I would like to make to all the TMA members on the call. I don't expect you to believe what I've said in terms of our accuracy and our low false alarm rate and how easy it is to operate. I actually do expect you to test me. And so we want to offer all security integrators on the call test equipment for evaluation purposes, 3-hour certification class, and on-site tech support from our technical guys with your initial installation at no charge. So we're asking you to test us, tell us, or ask us to prove our plans. For monitoring stations that are interested, we offer free virtual receiver software to any monitoring station that is a TMA member, so that you can in future accept all the Davantis video alarms. At the moment, we're not charging for it. I'm not sure how long we will keep it that way, but for a limited period, you have access to it free of charge. I think from my side, that's it. I hope I didn't go too much over my 15 minutes. And Lee, I'll hand back to you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Charles. I appreciate your presentation very much. If any of you have any questions, please feel free to go ahead and type those in the question mark, and we will address those. Okay, we have one here, Charles. Are the operators able to talk back or activate deterrent devices on site?
Yes. So with a Davantis appliance, you have the ability to talk back to site. So you talk down an intruder before he actually enters a premises or breaks or damages anything. And we have many video clips proving exactly that. When you address someone with very specific details, for example, you in the red shirt with the black cap, you better leave, then our experience is that they leave. And so having video after the fact is nowhere near as good as speaking to them directly and deterring that break-in and saving your customer money. So yes, we do that.
Okay, thank you very much. Is it required for companies to purchase like new software, or does it work with all equipment already installed in their site?
So the only thing that has to be purchased is our appliance. So you'd need to buy a box, either that 4-channel mini unit or a bigger server unit. It then contains all the software and licensing within it. And it can accept inputs from any brand of camera, and it can connect to any alarm panel or other deterrent devices.
Okay, I think we have time for...
I hope that answers it.
Yes. One more question I think we have time for. Does Davantis offer false alarm filtering in the cloud?
So our software is able to do filtering in the cloud, but we don't offer that as a service. We do that filtering directly in the unit on site, and we think there is a huge advantage. Typically, people would use the edge device, the camera, to do the initial detection, and I've already stated that that can be very inaccurate. If it passes a lot of false alarms, or when it passes a lot of false alarms to the cloud to be filtered, I think they do a decent job of that with 1 or 2 provisions. The bigger problem is if your edge device at the start misses a detection, then it sends nothing to the cloud to be filtered. So we do both the detection and the filtering on site. Also, just want to say that with the false alarm filtering, that is typically taken care of by deep learning. And deep learning really is an object, it identifies objects by their shape. So it identifies very accurately humans, vehicles, everything else. And it does a good job at filtering false alarms. The problem is it needs at least 70% of that object to be visible. And we've seen with our own tests that, for example, when someone walks behind the vehicle or carries something big that disguises their typical human shape, that it can be discarded by deep learning on its own. Our unit actually, as I said, makes use of a combination of methods to be more accurate and produce less false alarms.
Thank you, Charles. Again, I'd like to thank you for your presentation today, and thank you for all of those that attended today's virtual product review. If you have additional questions or are listening to the review as a recording and would like a copy of the information, please indicate your interest in the follow-up evaluation. Please don't forget to complete the evaluation, which you will receive following today's webinar. Your feedback is very important to us. We look forward to seeing you again on a future virtual product review. This concludes today's presentation.